Hey, Daddy, this is the man of the champions, Bill Fonzie Alfonso, giving a shout out to
Something else.
something else, Daddy.
This is Nickel Matara, Great Warrior Wolf, and you are listening to Something Else.
I'm Tony Cini, and you're listening to Something Else.
Hey everybody, it's Rich Palladino, the voice of New England, and you are listening to Something Else with Arya.
And welcome to episode number 153 of Something Else. My name is Arya. I hope everyone had a great holiday. Today, we have a very special show for you here. So we've mentioned this from time to time. So ever since pretty much the end of July, Trey and I, before we record the actual show, we'll just randomly start talking about whatever before I would even start recording. And so I realized, hey, maybe if I should start recording what we talk about in the pre-show and see if there's anything to that and upload it. So that's basically what this show is. This is a compilation of pre-show stuff that we talked about since July, actually. It was I think the earliest one was July 30th, was when we recorded some of the stuff. I did put everything in chronological order. But yeah, keep this in mind as you're listening. There's stuff for obviously from July, August, September, October, November, etc. Um, and a lot of it is wrestling related. There is some stuff that's not wrestling related. And this is not everything we discussed because, not everything was really interesting enough to include on the show. It was just, this is what I thought was the kind of the best of, quote unquote. And it's about 2 hours. I hope you all enjoy it. If you do, let me know. If not, oh well, I'll probably still do it again anyway, because when have I ever not done anything because y'all don't like it? Anyway, enjoy what you're about to listen to. Have a good rest of your holiday season and a happy and safe new year.
Hello again.
Hey, I think one of my external hard drives is dead, and that's very upsetting.
I bet it would be. So hopefully,
Luckily, it's not one of the ones with wrestling on it.
yes. Yes. That would be bad.
Yeah, but it is like all of the movies and TV and stuff that I ripped from DVDs that I don't have anymore. So that's a problem.
You need to find a good torrenting site, my friend.
I do. Oh my God, I wish, like, I don't know, like, I've been on a really good wrestling torrent site for like fucking 16 years, and then why the fuck can't I get on like a good torrent site that has movies and TV and stuff?
What's your really good wrestling torrent site?
XWT.
That's the one I use. I I actually just downloaded the entire run of the
Yeah.
original
I mean, I'm on well, the redubbed version.
No, the original, TV version.
Uh, I have the redubbed version that's got the network, like the HD footage from the network with the original, like where they dubbed out the original music and stuff. Somebody dubbed it back in. Hey, sorry, I was having some issues.
No worries. I was starting to think, wait, I said 7:30, maybe thought I meant 7:30 Central, and you know, and then I'm like, you're the one who said, hey, we can do it whenever. So I sent you the link, and it's like, Wait.
I was like,
Mhm.
I was trying to herd the cats out of my room, and then trying to get my headset didn't want to connect. And sorry.
It happens. So I did think for
What'd you have for
like
dinner?
eaten half of it. It's still sitting here next to me. I figured I can eat during the colossal amount of audio we play this week. Um,
What was it? You sorted out for a sec.
Great, not this shit again. Spaghetti.
Oh, spaghetti.
Yes, I ate about
we
half
got-
of it, and
Yeah,
Yeah.
we got Domino's, so I had
great. Now you're
I had bacon and jalapeno pizza, and that's the other reason I was late, because
interesting.
a pain hit me.
By the way, I did think about not telling you I was going to record the pre-shows, and then I'm like, that could be a bad idea.
Yeah, don't let me say anything incriminating.
Well, you may say something you don't want to be recorded. But what made me think about actually recording this was remember we were talking about the Will Ospreay MJF match the other day, and you said that it happened in Little Rock, and Little Rock having out of the blue just having this
Mm-hmm.
match between two stars, and it was a pretty damn good match too.
Yeah.
And I meant to mention, but we moved on. The other show that I can remember that happened in Little Rock, No Mercy 2002, which had the Angle and Benoit versus Edge and Rey Mysterio tag match, and
Yes.
the first Brock Lesnar Undertaker Hell in a Cell.
That would have those two would be the only matches I can think of that ever happened in that building that were on that level.
So not Triple H and
I
Kane.
can't say. Yeah, no, fuck, God, that match sucked.
I can't believe you'd be on someone else's Zoom call.
I'm sorry. I felt guilty about it the whole time.
That's good. I'm happy you felt guilty about it.
I thought about you the whole time, honest.
I appreciate that. Hey, I got my CM Punk transgender flag sticker today.
Yeah, I saw it was upside down.
Yes. Thankfully, no one yet has killed the joke by saying I could, just turn the sticker the other way.
I was trying to come up with a joke about how the sticker identified, but I couldn't quite get it there.
It's all right. I was at Walmart the other day, and the first, last, and only time I ever thought of Tim Horner while at Walmart, because I was walking through one of the aisles, and suddenly there were, I think they're pillows. Like if I had time, I would have stopped, but I was on my lunch break at work, so I couldn't really stop to observe what the hell they were. But they were like pillows of lightning bolts. And I'm like,
Oh my God.
why lightning? Why lightning?
Motherfucker and a stupid fucking lightning bolt.
Maybe that's what happened to all the foam lightning bolts that never got bought.
Maybe.
Walmart repurposed them as pillows. I gotta tell you, I started watching this week's show, and like 20 minutes in, I thought you had watched the wrong show. What the hell is he talking about?
What part confused you?
It wasn't so much confused, but like I read what you wrote on Twitter, and then I was like, what the fuck? What the fuck is he talking about? And it's like, then we got to the end of the episode. I'm like, holy fuck, what the fuck?
Yeah, I knew this was coming. I didn't know it was this week.
I thought the thing with Scott Armstrong didn't happen until after Volunteer Slam.
Yeah, see, I thought it didn't happen until after the last Tangle in Tennessee.
Yeah.
But no, they so I watched the Rage in the Cage, what was on the WWE War Games Blu-ray, which is joined in progress like toward the end when almost everybody is in the ring, which is lame. But that's when that was when they shot the angle with where they beat down Bob Armstrong.
Yes, no way.
Yeah,
But
I
I
knew
get,
it was coming. I knew it was
yeah.
coming. I didn't know it was then.
I guess we'll see next week, but that just might be all that they air on the TV show.
Yeah, I would assume.
So I got home today, went and checked my mail, and I had a letter from a former employer. And I'm like, what the fuck are they sending me a letter for? And I'm like, well, whatever the fuck is in here, it's not a check. And I open it up, and it's a fucking check for
They,
$315.
we just realized we didn't pay you enough money.
Apparently. Yeah.
Wow.
And I haven't worked there in a fucking year and a half. It took them this long to realize they owed me money.
And you didn't realize it?
No, because I was paid like, I'm the anal retentive person that I will check my paycheck every week, and you're not going to screw me out of one penny. So
Right.
I don't know why they think they owe me $315, but I went and deposited it, so it's too late for them to take it back. So I turned off Collision. Let me guess the finish of the 6-man tag match.
All right.
It somehow ended up with no winner because Christian and the Patriarchy fucked both teams. And then Tony Khan sent Tony Schiavone a text message announcing that All In it'll be a 3-team match for the trios titles.
That is exactly what I expected. They didn't do the last bit with Tony, but other than that, you got it exactly right.
Shocking, right?
Yeah.
By the way, and I mean, I guess we'll see what, if any, match either guy has at All In. But Okada and Claudio's on fucking Dynamite
Okay.
instead of All In.
Claudio is working Arena Mexico that Friday night,
God
so it may.
damn it, Claudio.
Yeah,
But
it may be. They may have decided that's going to be too tight because he's going to go from Cardiff to Mexico City and then back to London. That might be. They might have decided that's not worth the risk. And plus, you gotta do something for TV. It's a TV product. And I don't know. I feel like a lot of people complain constantly that like we don't get as high quality of matches on TV as we used to. But then every time that we do, people complain that it's not on the pay-per-view. So yeah, I got no problem with doing Okada and Claudio on TV.
All In is on Sunday, right? Well, not this Sunday, actually, but on a Sunday, right?
Yeah.
Or is it Saturday? No, it's Sunday?
It is Sunday, yeah.
I mean, you could fly that guy back, but because I mean, you're already flying him from Cardiff to Mexico, and when he's wrestling at Cardiff on a Wednesday, flying to Mexico for Friday. It's like, I mean, I get it, poor bastard, I'm sorry, as much as I love Claudio, he's not the guy that is so desperately we need to drop the fly back and forth across the world, multiple times in a week. But yeah.
Yeah. Also, time zones are a thing, so he'd be gaining time coming back, but losing time going.
I get that, but it whatever. But also, and okay, fine. You've solved that one. But so that takes away my second bit of outrage. Not so much outrage, but Okada Claudio on Dynamite instead of All In. They're not good enough to be wrestling each other at All In. But Willow and Ishii are going to wrestle Chris Statlander and Stokely Hathaway on 0 Hour.
Well, if they put Claudio and Okada, Claudio and Okada on the pre-show, people would shit their pampers over that.
I mean, both things cannot be right or whatever.
Arya, it's okay to have an important match on TV. It's a TV property. They make their money off the TV deal. They've got to put something on TV.
I understand that. I just, it's not worth the argument. By the way, is Collision just a 2-hour rampage, or is it just me?
Um,
Like that felt like a lot of filler.
uh, see, to me, Dynamite is the show that's for everybody, and then Collision is for fucking wrestling nerds. That's why we get shit like FTR and the Outrunners, and fucking Swerve and Ishii.
Okay, so let me argue about that here for a second. Now, great match, fucking outstanding match, but why the hell was it not advertised? Like, maybe Ishii really wouldn't have drawn anybody, but I think, the wrestling nerd out there who's like, okay, I got other shit I can do tonight, and my options are Collision with Swerve with a mystery opponent, a 6-man tag that you know is going to be some sort of fuck finish, or go do something else. Um, or holy crap, Swerve versus Ishii, that sounds like a fucking, banger. You know, I, I don't know. I think if you would have advertised that, people would have watched because that sounded like an amazing match, and then it was an amazing match.
Yeah, apparently, Ishii's quarter hours move numbers. I think,
Yes,
I
but
think that part. I think the part of the idea might have been that the mystery was part of the draw. People were thinking could have been Bobby Lashley, could have been Ricochet, but then it
eh,
was Ishii, which is awesome. Like I don't like
yeah.
you can't be disappointed when it's Tomohiro Ishii.
No, but I mean, it's one thing like when Cody was doing the mystery TNT title open challenges every week, and like you're bringing out like indie guys or guys that really weren't on the main stage, like Eddie Kingston was at the time, or other people like that, like. But it's like I would be like rip roaring, pissing my pants if like Lashley or Ricochet would have debuted unadvertised to answer the Swerve Open Challenge. Like that would have been a little too much.
Well, I don't know. Maybe they had something else planned and it fell through, and they had to do something. I don't know.
Uh,
It
mhm.
look it. There's mistakes in AEW booking. It's not perfect.
No.
We can nitpick and criticize ad nauseum. I typically, and I do complain about stuff, but like typically, especially like Collision, I almost always enjoy the show.
So I just want to nitpick about one other thing,
All right.
and mid card titles being called world titles. I like I get what you're saying. I do not count the Ring of Honor World Television title as a world title. Like, yes, fine, the word world is in the name, but no one, if we were doing that thing where you count off people's world title wins, Ishii doesn't have one because he was the TV champion. You
I
know,
was just being pedantic for
I,
the
I,
sake of being a smartass.
I get that. I'm just, I figured since it was brought up, because Shivani said that Ishii's won world titles all around the world, and I'm like, the whole joke was that Ishii's never won the IWGP title and he really should have at some point. And it's too late
I for
these
one,
days.
I for one am shocked that Tony Schiavone would do a hyperbole.
Now, Tony Schiavone, I was actually waiting for him to list the world titles that he won all around the world, but sadly,
Kind of had a tummy ache for a few days.
want me to punch you in the arm? It might make your stomach hurt less.
I'm trying to think of how that would work.
Mentally, if you have a pain in your arm, you may not think about your stomach as much.
Nah, I think then I'd just be mad that my arm and my stomach hurt.
Hmm. Should we test this theory, maybe?
I'm pretty confident in the results.
Fine. What made you start, using marijuana? Because, when I began using it, it was purely for, scientific reasons. I wanted to know what it felt like to get high. I assume
Uh,
that's everybody's, methodology.
I wanted to hear something come out of my brain besides the bad thoughts.
I approve.
Thank you.
No problem. Anytime. Should we get the show on the road?
Let me crack open my Sprite Zero.
Delicious, delicious. Oh, you're trying to be cornet now? You got the Sprite. Actually, I don't know what he drinks. I know he used to drink Sprite.
I think he's been a Sprite Zero guy for a long time.
Mm.
This is Citrus Twist. It's HEB brand, which is a Texas grocery store chain.
Ah.
It's
A,
off-brand Sprite. It's the closest that I can do to getting off soda.
another group that we're plugging that is not giving us a check.
Yeah, well, at least this isn't on the actual show.
Odds are they do not need the free pub, even if they are a local no-name soda. And I like that the idea of free pub made you choke.
Ah, the English voice of New Japan Pro Wrestling, just like one of my tweets where I called somebody a fetid shit-brained fuckwaffle.
Nice. Was he tagged in this? Was
No,
there
no.
awesome? I honestly don't even know how to follow up on that.
I just thought it was funny.
Now, was it a wrestler that you called this, or just, some other random schmuck on
Uh,
Twitter?
just some dipshit. I managed to make my doctor laugh yesterday, explaining my depression, which always pops me.
How did you make your doctor laugh by talking about your depression?
Uh, I don't remember. It was some kind of funny. I don't know. I have a habit of trying to explain things in an amusing way. That I don't know. I feel like I feel like I'm very much hit or miss when it comes to how people perceive me, because like people with a whimsical bent who like humor and sarcasm fucking love me, and then people who are like super serious and don't understand irony are like, you're a stupid piece of shit.
That explains why I love you so much.
Eh.
You know something? Fuck it. I it's fucking Zoom. It's fucking Zoom. I don't fucking know why Zoom is such a pain in my fucking balls. But like, whenever I fucking use Skype, that works without a fucking problem. Hell, I don't even know. It's only fucking Zoom when I have somebody else on. If I'm just on here by myself, there's no fucking issues. The second I add a second person, oh, internet connection's unstable. You can't do that. Fuck Zoom in the fucking ass without lube.
You can't do the like audio sharing on Skype, can you?
I have no fucking idea. I tried doing it once and it
Yeah.
didn't fucking work. All right, all
You
right.
remember that jobber named Mike Winter?
I remember the name, yes.
It's like the greatest jobber name ever.
Especially since he never won a damn match.
I I know. Well, yeah, yes, he did. Mike Winter defeated Buddy Wayne at let's see, that's yeah, and that's probably Seattle Buddy Wayne because this was Portland.
I was gonna say which Buddy Wayne.
I was just ran. I was. I think it was Pacific Northwest Buddy Wayne and not Tennessee Buddy Wayne
It's like next you're gonna
because I just
say
had his cage match. I watched. I watched an episode of Saturday Night earlier where they had it was the debut of the Blackhearts, and I had to look up Mike Winter so I could figure out who the Blackhearts were.
So next you're gonna say that Buddy Wayne teamed with Matt Stryker on the show too. How you doing?
Tired, and then I don't know what's going on with the cat.
What
Okay,
what
so there is it's like a whirlpool bath, and
Mhm.
it's so on the thing that it's built into, it's got a fucking door that the cats love to go into, and we tried to board it up, and they just the way it is, we can't get it to fucking stay closed. And she gets in there, and then so we had been gone all day, and we just got home, and I went in the bathroom, and I could hear her meow. I was looking around, I'm like, oh, she's down there, and then
Mhm.
like, but she's not coming out. But it's like she can't be stuck in there because she gets in there all the time, and I don't know how she could be in there in a way that she hasn't been in there before. So I don't know. My wife couldn't get her to come out, so I'm like, well, just leave wet food and give her like an hour and see if she figures it out. And then that didn't work. We'll figure out what to do next.
Interesting. Hopefully, everything is a-okay.
Yeah, these goofy fucking cats.
Uh, by the way, we do not have a new linear TNA X Division champion, although I don't know Zachary Wentz is necessarily the linear champion. Um,
Probably all kinds of fucked up. I've tried to do like the Ring of Honor, and it gets really fucking out there.
it's really difficult, especially like when you get these companies like TNA was for most of their run and ROH was for the vast majority of their run, where it's like people are allowed and encouraged to take bookings outside of the company, and that's where the results get a little iffy at times.
Yeah, and I think it's why after a certain point, well, that's probably not the reason why, but it's related that at a certain point, Ring of Honor didn't want their champion doing jobs outside of the company, which is like one of several things that Michael Elgin got in trouble for because he did a job for Trevor Lee and Bola that one time when he was Ring of Honor champion.
I remember there was 5 minutes where TNA had the rule that if you were the champion, even if you weren't wrestling in TNA, any match you had was for the TNA title because Matt Hardy was the champion and he was going to do a WrestleMania weekend match with Lance Storm. And I'm like, it's Lance's chance to win the TNA title. And then that's when Drew McIntyre cashed in the TNA version of Money in the Bank. I don't remember if it was Feast or Fired or if it was some other similar gimmick. And he won the title right before WrestleMania.
Remember that?
Did you say
Well,
you do
he's
remember
he.
that or you didn't remember that?
Yeah, I kind of I remember him winning the Impact title.
And that was when he was a babyface. So
Yeah.
that was
Such a
Matt,
dumb, tired gimmick.
the Money in the Bank. It
Yes.
honestly, I think it worked until Swagger. Just because even though Punk really I know it's nice to look back to, oh yeah, Punk was this big star. Punk was not a big star when he won it. Even when he won and lost the title the first time, he wasn't a big star. But it's like Punk at least became a big star. Swagger was the first person who won the briefcase as a joke, won the belt as a joke, lost the belt when he was still a joke, and was always a joke.
Yeah, they should have. It never should have become its own pay-per-view. That
Yeah.
it was already on its way down, and then after that, it's just been. And now then they started doing two a year, like even before they were doing the women when they would do a Raw and a SmackDown one, and it's
Yeah.
just such a watered down concept that it's not worth anything anymore. And I
I,
don't not not a fan of AEW doing that with this Christian title shot, but I guess we'll see what happens.
I think I'm not going to say it's a great idea to have its own pay-per-view, but I think it's a better idea because by and large, they tend to have more named wrestlers, in the match. When it was
Yeah, that's
what
fair.
like by the end of the time when it was at WrestleMania, it's like okay, all the big stars have their match, and this is the Andre the Giant Battle Royal before we had an Andre the Giant Battle Royal. This is the match for all the geeks. And then when Swagger won, like there was like 10 people in that fucking match. And it's like, I don't even remember like that. Oh my God, that was the year that the rumor was that it was going to be Drew McIntyre, but that was when everyone hated Drew McIntyre because he was the chosen one by Vince McMahon. And so they did the spot where like everybody was laid out and McIntyre got up and it was like the biggest heat on the entire show. People thought he was going to win.
And then it took Swagger like fucking 6 minutes to take the fucking briefcase down.
Oh God, yeah. And I mean, I don't even really blame him because like those clips are a pain in the ass. I was just watching WWE put up like I forget how they labeled it, but it was like random weird intercontinental title changes, and one of them was the Zack Ryder win at WrestleMania, and it's like, yeah, that was pretty fucking random that happened.
Yeah, that was, in the moment, because I was at that show, and I was like, in the moment, I was like, hey, good for Zach. That's a nice thing for him. He kind of, the you deserve it concept has become really watered down now. But hey, that's a nice little gold watch for him. And then he lost it the next day.
He lost it the next day, immediately lost the rematch, and was right back where he was before Pac got injured and Zack Ryder took his spot at WrestleMania. Because that was supposed to be Pac in that match instead, and then he rolled his ankle or whatever.
Jeez.
Oh, God. It's funny because we only have one show to talk about, so you think we should be saving all the good stuff for the show and not the pre-show.
I'm fucking irritated.
What's wrong?
Where to start? I can't get my fucking glasses clean no matter how much I clean them. I've cleaned them with dish soap. Somebody even said clean them with hand sanitizer. I've wiped them with every fucking cloth I can find. I'm thinking about just cutting my head off so I don't need glasses anymore.
I mean, that would bring about a whole different set of problems.
Then I've washed my fucking sheets, and now, like, I put everything back on the bed, and I'm missing a pillowcase. So who the fuck knows where that is? And then fucking there's like these shoes that I've been into, and my wife was trying to order a pair on the website, and then it automatically selected the most expensive shipping option. And then when you go, like, we fucking called them to try to cancel it, and they wouldn't cancel the order. And now I'm fucking pissed that I'm like, this company that I've been like recommended to everyone, and now like they're cunts that fuck people around, and I hate that.
I am so sorry this is happening.
I just fucking hate lack of integrity, and I hate when my fucking pillowcases disappear, and I hate my fucking glasses.
Is it possible your pillowcase went the same place as all your missing socks tend to go?
Must have been.
Oh my God. I know you're not the TNA host, but Jesus Christ, I just finished watching the TNA show and then going into Jerry Jarrett's book. And so, motherfucking Jerry Jarrett, he's found out that his publicist has a daddy who has a shit ton of money. So they're saving the company. This guy's going to buy it, and they're going to end up, on the plus side. He is still telling his new investors, like, the bullshit numbers that not only the bullshit numbers that he thinks the pay-per-views are going to do, but he's now telling them bullshit numbers that he believes the shows have already done. He's telling them, he's telling them that the 11 or 12 shows they've done up to this point have each made at least $110,000 in pay-per-view revenue, which, first of all, is not fucking true. But like, because it's like 27,500 buys per week, which is not even close. If it were true, because of how they've slashed the budget, once that money comes in, the company is far more than profitable. So if I'm Panda Energy, I'm like, why would I give you what amounts to short-term financing? Because as soon as you get the money, you're going to try to buy us out.
Wasn't somebody giving them bad numbers?
Yes, but this is after that.
Who was where were they getting the bad numbers from?
It was, I don't know, it was like 2 months ago, so I'm forgetting the guy's name at this point. But it was a guy who they hired to work there on the pay-per-view side who'd worked in WCW. And he was giving them false numbers on in-demand letterhead, stating that these were official.
Why? Like, was there a
I,
reason? Was he just being a dick?
I think that's about it. He was just being a dick because I don't think it ever came out why. And Jerry's like, well, he works for the company that also has the WWE pay-per-view contract. So this is Vince McMahon trying to, put TNA out of business, which this was not one that Vince had to try very hard at.
But now he knows those are bad numbers and he's still giving them to investors.
Well, no, now he's giving them not those numbers, but different
bad numbers.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It's like he's giving them numbers that he should know aren't true. Because even though they don't have the final numbers yet for the first couple shows, they were told, because Jerry said this in his book when he realized the shit hit the fan a month ago, they were told the first 3 shows did a combined 50,000 buys, give or take. Which you might recall would be less than 3 shows at least 27,500 buys.
Well, I am just shocked that a promoter that was almost starving his wrestlers at times would engage in such shoddy business practices.
I know, right? But it's like the miracle of TNA is A, that it continued to exist, but B, it's like once fucking Panda Energy found out what the real numbers were, because I'm gonna bet that chapter is coming up really soon. Why didn't they pull their fucking financing then? Because it's like, motherfucker, you lied to us, you defrauded us. That's basically what it was. You've defrauded us to get our money by giving us fake numbers, and now we're gonna pull our fucking investment, and the company would be dead by December. But somehow, some way, the company that would never die survived this.
That company is like a fucking cockroach. Like, after the apocalypse, we'll all be dead, and somehow TNA Wrestling will still be running.
Yes. And actually, Jerry Jarrett's book, I don't know if you ever read it or heard about it, but it's basically his 2002 diary. And he, at one point, like, I've gotten to the point where he's receiving spam emails and including them in the book. Oh my God.
That's something. Wow.
You know those emails your grandmother sent you back in the early 2000s that were like, oh, look at this very true story about somebody who survived because they found God in their life or some bullshit like that?
Very fortunately, my grandmother's never made it online.
But you know the types of emails I'm talking about.
Yes.
Jerry Jarrett put one of those in his book.
That's that's hilarious. I don't know why.
And that was after the middle of the book where we get a 40-page interview that he did with some website. He literally
40 pages of the book.
I didn't count it, but if it's not 40, it's pretty goddamn close.
Wow. This just must be a hilarious topic to research.
Oh God, I'm both really looking forward to the end of this year and not, because Jarrett's book is just 2002. So it ends, at the end of 2002.
Oh, you're gonna have to read Vince Russo's books next.
Oh, don't fucking do that. Although the first book was just his WWF run, so I could skip that and just read Rope Opera, how WCW killed Vince Russo.
Bro. It's like in my mind, every other word in the books is bro, just like how he talks.
I'm still shocked and saddened that in real life, Will Ospreay doesn't say bruv every 30 seconds.
That's very upsetting.
Yes, it is.
I still got a New Japan show I need to watch. So that works for
You-
me.
You're going to watch the Road 2 show? I mean, I guess we've already discussed
Absolutely.
this. All right.
Yeah, I
Hey,
watched. So yesterday I had to go. I had to go to a meeting. It was our NFB Houston chapter meeting, and my wife goes to every meeting because she's a chapter secretary. I only go when we're doing food after. So we were doing
oh,
pizza yesterday, so I went,
I'd be there
and
too.
she had to go. She had to go early too, so I just took my iPad and then I watched like all of the New Japan show except for the main event, like before and during the meeting. So I had it was because the show yesterday was it was Shingo Takagi's 20th anniversary show, so neat little time. And then today, and I haven't seen, so I don't know anything yet, but Jeff Cobb was defending the TV title against Yota Tsuji, so interested in that. Yeah, I
But
think, and I did it. I've done it before too. I think I did it in like 21, but this year I believe I have watched every New Japan show that has aired.
nice. By the way, I'm going to assume that the NFB is the National Federation of the Blind and not the National Film Board of Canada.
So, I am not a member of the National Film Board of Canada. I am, in fact, a member of the National Federation of the Blind. They do let
which
sighted people join.
which would be interesting for you to be living in Texas and being in the National Film Board of Canada.
That would be something.
Alrighty. Now
Can,
that
can
we
I can I
actually,
use that? Can I use that to get a Corner Gas reboot?
I mean, whatever it takes.
Just laid on the couch in a really bad position for way too long because the cat was laying on me and now my back hurts.
I say, aw, due to the cat laying on you, and aw, due to your back hurt.
I made the sacrifice. The cat loves me.
My sacrifice.
Waited a long time to have a cat who loves me.
Me hee hee. Ooh, 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 ooh.
My wife is just such a cat person. That,
Cats
uh,
are amazing.
yeah, but the cats love her, and it's like when we got together, we she had a cat that was just like this total little sweetheart. It was like super smart,
Hmm.
and like she loved me too. She loved both of us. And then like 2018, we got Bella, and it was because I had never had a kitten before, so I wanted to get a kitten, and she was supposed to be my kitten, but she loved my wife. And then we have another cat who kind of likes both of us. It was my friend's cat, and she ended up needing to live with us. But pretty much like my my wife is all the cats like main person. Well, then the kitten just fucking loves me.
That that's tremendous. That's great. I,
She's
I, I was about
my
to
little
say,
chaotic baby.
it's too bad we're not recording this, but I am. I am recording this.
Yeah, yeah. Ugh,
Ah,
crazy little thing. It was about a year and a half ago. We like our next door neighbor's like daughter-in-law had found a cat, but she couldn't keep it because of her apartment or whatever. So they asked us like, "You want this cat?" And we're like, "Sure." And they brought her to us, and she was like, kind of sick and had been like hurt, like one of her eyes was swollen shut. And
aw.
so we took about a month nursing her back to health, and she was so docile and calm. As soon as that cat started feeling better, she just became fucking chaos. She is the most chaotic thing in our household, but then she's so sweet and she loves me.
I love it. I'm marking out, bro. I'm marking out.
She's
Just
so
just don't
cute.
just don't replace me with Booker T while I'm marking out here.
No, no, I wouldn't replace you with Booker T.
Nah, I'm sure Stryker would be a better podcast host.
Oh God, I would get so fucking irritated if I had to have a conversation with Matt Striker.
I mean, I met him at a WrestleCon once for the, I don't know, 3 minutes we talked. He was a perfectly fine and nice person. But again, it was about
Yeah,
3 minutes.
yeah. I'm sure he's not the worst person you could have a conversation with. It just probably would get annoyed by him after
Oh,
a while.
oh my God. So I just remembered the circumstances of meeting him. So it was the WrestleMania 31 WrestleCon, so Santa Clara, California. They had it in a hotel, but the hotel they didn't have like a giant ballroom, but they had like 5 or 6 different buildings, and so they had something set up in each building. And in one of the buildings, there was a whole row of people, and there was a good amount of people there to see everybody in that giant row of people. Well, I get done the line or see whoever the hell I'm going to see, and I'm just kind of standing off to the side, and I see someone walk around to the back of the giant wall full of people. And I look in the back, and there's an entire other wall of people, and no fans are back there because nobody knows it's back there. And Matt Striker was one of the people back there.
Huh.
Yeah, I'm like, I literally spoke loudly so other people could hear me see this because I'm not that much of a dick. I don't want these people to not get business if people want to meet them.
You remember the one Wrestle Kingdom that was JR and Matt Striker? And Striker was using like insider terms like swerved, and JR was just with such complete disdain. It was like, what are you talking about? He lied. It's called lying.
I remember Striker saying that if wrestling was real, I think he was talking about Minoru Suzuki. Minoru Suzuki would be the champion. And it's like, really, motherfucker, you're on this wrestling show saying if wrestling is real. It's like, and somehow that was still better than Yoshitatsu.
For
Oh God.
Yoshitatsu. Oh,
That that was like an all-time bad commentary performance. It's like th-
he's
th- th- anytime
it's like
anyone brings up like Mike Adamle, and yeah, Mike Adamle sucked. Or like, remember when Stephanie McMahon did the commentary for the first Women's Royal Rumble, and she was asked like the most innocuous question ever, and she couldn't even answer it, and she was just speaking in buzzwords the whole time.
vaguely. I think I've shut most of that out of my mind.
I forget. Cole and Graves asked her something, and she just started talking about how, as much as I love the men's Royal Rumble, the women's Royal Rumble is even better. It's like, okay, Stephanie, we didn't ask you that. Oh Lord.
When I started watching New Japan a little over 20 years ago, the Young Lions were it was Hiroki Goto and Ryusuke Taguchi who are still in New Japan,
Mhm.
and a guy called Akiya Enzawa who was very good but retired young, and the other one was Yoshitatsu. And it's just like would like I don't know. He was he was all right, and then he was kind of all right by comparison when he like I became like after a while when everybody accepted that it wasn't going to be ECW, I became a fan of WWE ECW.
Yes.
It was like a really fun C show. And so
Yeah.
I was excited when he debuted and I liked him on there. And I don't know, I think after he got cut and he went back to Japan and then he broke his neck and he was just never quite the same again.
It's like talking about WWE CW. It's like after Benoit killed himself, they stopped even pretending to give a fuck about ECW, and it became a really fun show. Like, do you remember when Miz and Morrison were feuding with Jimmy Wang Yang and Shannon Moore?
Yeah, I remember them on that show. I it like Christian. I've always been a big Christian fan. That was like the first time that he got the chance to be like the top guy on a brand in WWE, or like
Like He got a year of 15-minute TV main events and having good long singles main events. And he like at the time he was never going to get that on Raw or SmackDown. And it was just by sheer coincidence because he just happened to be around when Edge retired that he even got that on SmackDown.
Yeah, he has some badass matches with William Regal during that thing. So I remember I saw one at a house show, and I
Mm-hmm.
marked out so hard because Regal did the Regal Prex, which is like one of those news moves that I mark out for every time I see it.
Mm-hmm. I remember that was the first time. I don't know if it's the first time he had a lengthy match, but the first time I ever saw Zack Ryder wrestle a good lengthy match was against Christian on ECW.
The first time I saw a lot of people wrestle a good lengthy match was against Christian.
And in some cases, it was the only time you saw them wrestle a good match was against Christian on ECW. See Ezekiel
Yeah,
Jackson. Good being a
yeah,
relative term, you know.
but they did have good matches though, and so I've always, I don't know anything about his personal habits, but I've always been a big fan of Jake Hager as a wrestler, and that was like pretty much like his first program, or like I guess he wrestled Matt Hardy first, and that wasn't as good. But like Christian's so good. Match they had whatever backlash that was when Christian beat him for the title, it was really
Yeah.
good.
And it's like Swagger had just had that feud with Finlay that sucked so bad that like they didn't book him on WrestleMania because he had bad matches with Finlay, and then he had great matches with Christian. So maybe, just maybe, it wasn't entirely Swagger's fault.
Yeah, some people are like really good, but they're not like carrying good.
Yeah,
Christian can fucking carry anybody.
pretty much.
Like still today at what 50 whatever he is, like he's still really fucking good. That was the drag show.
'Twas fun. I mean, it's the same queens that do most of the shows in this area, but it's always nice to see, especially a bunch of people I haven't seen in a while. Because I think I mentioned this. Our gay bar like got sold last year because the owners retired, and it basically took a year to get everything restarted. And I mean, they did a really nice job remodeling the place. Like it looks like a completely new place. Like if you'd never been to the old one, like I don't know, it's like it's hard to say, but it's like it's the same place, but it's not the same place. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's cool. I've never been to a gay bar. It's probably very entertaining.
It can be. It definitely
It's
can be.
not it's not that I have a problem with gay bars. I've only gone to a bar maybe like, I don't know, half a dozen times in my life.
It's all good, you know. No worries. No shame in your game, you know. How was
I
Collision?
think it was good. It was good. I always enjoyed Collision. It's
So I was doing some shit while getting ready, so I had like the opener and a little bit after on, and I wasn't really paying attention. Did they say why Christopher Daniels was challenging for the TNT title? Or was it even a
so
TNT title match, or was it
it
just
was a TNT title match. Last night on Rampage, Daniels did a promo where he was saying, "Yeah, I've been the acting EVP and I've been having my problems with the elite, but I'm still a pro wrestler and I'm gonna accept Jack Perry's open challenge for the TNT title on Collision." Which like the
interesting?
TNT title has always been like an open challenge belt, so
Yeah.
that's fine.
Like, and I understand why you can't do it because they already have 800 people under contract. But I really liked it during the Cody days when it was like, here's a whole bunch of independent guys that aren't in AEW coming in to challenge. Like that's how Eddie Kingston got in, and like
Ricky Starks.
Ricky Starks. Who was that other guy? War Horse or something?
Warhorse, the one guy that we never saw again. Poor
Yes.
Warhorse.
And I remember the match being, perfectly all right.
Yeah, it was fine. It was
Yeah.
I felt like it was I don't know. They have been booking Jack against people that are like either smaller than him that he can bully, or somebody like Daniels who doesn't need to be protected and is professional enough that he'll pretty much just take an ass whipping, because he got thwomped for like the whole match, made a little bit of a comeback, and then just got beat. And then like the other like other than the coffin match with Darby, Jack's two title defenses were against Marko Stunt and against Leo Rush. It was kind of like
When the hell did he wrestle Marko Stunt?
when they did Collision in South Haven, Mississippi, which is like 10 miles from where Marco's from.
I actually, now that you say it, like, I have kind of a memory, but I don't think I watched that entire episode because, like, I don't know. Because I'll be honest, like Marko Stunt, okay, I'll be perfectly honest. I think Marko Stunt was very good, but he was too fucking small. Like, Rey Mysterio is small, but like he can wrestle big, if that makes sense. Like Marko Stunt, it's like he's small. He looked too much like a child. Like, and I know that's kind of a Jim Cornette-ism to say, oh, he looked like a child, but no, he looked like a child. And it's like, and I'm not saying there's no place in wrestling for Marko Stunt, but it's like, I was at a Game Changer show. I was at the one where Brian Alvarez wrestled Tom Lawler in a mixed tag match. And one of the matches was Marko Stunt versus somebody who was like a foot and a half taller than him. And it was just absurdly ridiculous. Like I could not get into that match at all. I just like I forget if I didn't leave, but like I just did not watch the match,
Yeah,
But it's like,
I get it. Which, and I totally understood why they didn't re-sign him. If like he had served his usefulness in AEW, but I did like, if you're gonna bring him back in South Haven when he's gonna fucking, because they had the connection because they were a team.
yeah. I mean, yeah, outside of him like answering a Luchasaurus Open challenge and Luchasaurus beating his ass,
Yeah.
there really wouldn't have been any other spot for him to come
Yeah.
back, I
Here's the
think.
thing. People always use the Rey Mysterio example, but like not everybody is legitimately one of the greatest wrestlers of all time and probably the
Yeah.
single most influential wrestler of the past 30 years.
Yeah, I mean, like people, it's the comparison because they're both small, but
Yeah.
it's like Ray, like I said, he wrestles bigger than he is. Like, I mean, he's no like Benoit. Like Benoit wrestled like somebody who was 7 feet tall, and it was perfectly believable. But Rey Mysterio does not wrestle like he's 5'2". You know,
He wrestles the way somebody his size, who is one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, should wrestle everybody else.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah. FTR and Grizzled Young Veterans had a very good match. And
Shockingly.
yeah, they FTR won, and then the Grizzled Young Veterans jumped them, and then the Outrunners made the save, and the Outrunners are like stupid over right now, so it's really fun.
I, I don't know. I don't dislike the Outrunners. I just, I don't know. It's like it's one of those things in wrestling. It's like, okay, they're just weirdly popular now out of the blue for no discernible
It
reason. But it's like
it's not
I
if you
wouldn't.
watch if you watch all the shows, and you've been watching all the shows for like they've been around for, I guess, maybe about a year, like you do develop a soft spot for it.
It's like I wouldn't go put the titles on something like that. Like,
No.
but I think that's what a lot of people just like equate it with. It's like, well, if you're not putting the belts on them, they're not getting a push. I'm like, okay, I know there's 85 titles in the fucking company, but they don't have to have the titles to get a push. Like they can be in a program, because that's one of the things that it's like, yeah, they got a deep tag team division, but they don't really have programs. Like at best, the tag champs have a program, and that's it. Everyone else will just be wrestling each other with no rhyme or reason. And that's one of the problems. It's like you need to give people a program, to make us not just give a fuck about Team A, but make us give a fuck about why Team A is wrestling Team B. Like, I know they just did Carmelo versus Andrade like 15 weeks in a row on SmackDown, but at least they kind of worked around that to give you, like, came up with a reason why they were wrestling 15 weeks in a row. It wasn't just, hey, we have nothing better for these guys to do than to wrestle every week.
Yeah, I think people get really goofy about like anybody who's not the champion is being buried and mistreated.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
a very
like,
goofy way to look at things.
The number of people I've said that the Rockers were buried in 1989 and 1990 because they never won the titles, it's complete bullshit. Like, A, it's a completely different era where not everybody won the goddamn titles all the time. And secondly, it's like, people may not want to hear this, but Demolition were far more over team than the Rockers were. Like, were the Rockers better in-ring workers? Fuck yes. But it's like, for that time period, the Rockers would not have been the right choice as tag team champions. And by the time they were the right choice, it was already time to break them up.
I remember people saying that Hangman was being buried when he was being pushed to the world title. Because people don't understand fucking storytelling.
I think the problem is with AEW storytelling, it's like, something will happen, like the Hangman thing. He was in the first world title match, he lost, and then it rarely, if ever, got brought up again for what felt like years until it was time for him to actually go against Omega for the title. Then it was like, oh yeah, we've been telling the story for 3 years that Hangman throwing out there. I'm like, no, you really haven't. You told it for 3 months, and then he took a 2-year break, and now you're telling it for another 6 months. But like, I think, like, and obviously we're well past the point of this, but it's like, it would have been better had it been brought up that, oh yeah, Hangman, he was in that first world title match, and he's, he's wrestling Brian Cage this month, but wrestling Brian Cage and beating Brian Cage, he might position himself for a title shot. Instead, it was just like, here's Hangman Page doing stuff until it's time for him to wrestle Omega. And I remember they did that weird 10-man, maybe, I don't know if it was 10-man, they did a weird elimination match where, like, it was Hangman in the Dark Order versus Kenny Omega and Co. And I was like, well, if Hangman wins, he'll get a title shot. And then Hangman lost. And I was like, okay, that was, pissing the Cheerios here, but it's like, it wasn't burying him. It's like, I get real life stuff, because it was real life stuff, because I think his wife was having a baby. So it's like, he had better things to do than wrestle the main event of the pay-per-view. But it's like, if that's the case, don't book that weird ass angle. Like, they could have done something else.
Losing is a part of the story too. If wins matter, losses have to matter too.
Very true, but like, it made him look bad, in my opinion. Like,
I'm not saying
he was getting buried, but I'm saying it's like, I don't know. It's like, they shouldn't have done the match. It was just my opinion. It was like, like, or if they were doing the match, like, I get him and the Dark Order were a thing, but it's like, those are pretty fucking weak partners to go against, the Elite.
Yeah, but that was like, that was the culmination of like stories that they had been telling for over a year.
Yeah, this is going to be one of those agree to disagree things. I was like,
and it probably comes from the years of Japanese wrestling. I don't think it's a problem to tell a story and move away from it and come back to it. Like, I think that's you're still telling the story. Look, like, one of my favorite stories that I've ever witnessed is, and most people probably wouldn't even think of it as a coherent story, but going from the 2018 G1 final when Ibushi lost to Tanahashi, follow Ibushi's journey from there to the matches, the match with Naito and the match with Jay White back-to-back nights at Wrestle Kingdom 15. that is one coherent story. But it's not all. It wasn't Ibushi like going for the title the whole time. It was him doing other stuff, having other experiences.
But it's like it wasn't like and I get you'll bring up Jay White beat him for the title shot in the first place, but it's like they like it wasn't like, oh, we're gonna push Ibushi to the IWGP title, and along the way, like we're gonna tease it, but no, he's gonna lose to like I don't know what even would be a right comparison here. It's like I don't know. I just like they had been putting it off for so long. I think that was part of the issue. It's like they put it off for so long that by the time like it felt like it was finally time to do it, and then real life circumstances prevented them from doing it. But like I don't know, I just felt like they shouldn't have done that match at that point. Like I'm not saying you couldn't have done the match, but like they could have done them. And again, I know real life it would have been hard to time this thing right because you only have so much time between the two pay-per-views. But it's like in an ideal situation, they would have had the pay-per-view with Kenny Omega and Christian, and then did the 10-man, 8-man, whatever man tag after that, where Hangman loses, and then do, because I think they did the ladder match for the title shot, and that's when Hangman returned to win. And that's when they do that, and you keep that the same, where Hangman wins, because it's still one focused thing. Whereas, like in my opinion, it's like Hangman not only lost, but it's like Hangman lost and then disappeared for 3 months. You know, Hangman lost.
Here's the thing about booking. You can look at any booking that has ever happened and say, I could have done this better in hindsight.
Oh yeah, no doubt. And believe me, I was honestly, because again, I was and still to an extent a TNA stan at, during that time period. And I was more upset that Kenny Omega lost the Impact title to Christian, because Kenny then never went and put anybody over in TNA at the end of the day. And I get
that's a valid complaint.
There were much bigger fish to fry, because Christian was a weak opponent. But, they did the tease for Kenny Omega and Josh Alexander, which that would have been fucking amazing. And I bet it would still be amazing if it happened now, but who knows if Kenny's ever going to wrestle again. But, Christian wasn't the same. It's like, yeah, the Christian story came full circle. So that was great, because Christian, he left not on the best of terms. They did the one-off when he got forced back because of Flair, and that wasn't on the best terms. But they brought it back and he came and it kind of ended Christian's story on a high note. But yeah, it bugged me that Kenny came in, beat everybody in the company, and due to circumstances beyond Scott D'Amore's control, he didn't job to anyone to lose the belt. I mean, he lost the belt, obviously, but he didn't lose anybody within TNA.
I'm not going to argue with you about that. That's a valid point.
Okay, so let me ask you, and I told you about my car wreck, right?
Uh-huh.
And I told you that, my car, for the most part, seems to be fine. I still have to get it checked out. And, body-wise, I'm not in the best shape in the world, but, I'm a lot better off than I could be, but I am a little bit banged up. What are your thoughts about me reaching out to my lawyer to discuss any legal options I may have?
Yeah, absolutely. Do that.
Okay, because that's my thought, and that's what I did today. I reached out to my lawyer, and he referred me to somebody else who's a little bit more, who has worked on accident cases like this before more than he has. And when I told people that, the people closest to me are like, "Why would you do that?" And I'm sitting there like, am I like just like overthinking this? Am I being greedy? Like I'm going in not expecting to get anything, but like I don't know if I feel like I should at least look into it.
When I got rear-ended in New Orleans, WrestleMania weekend, I ended up getting like $1,500 for my pain and suffering.
Yeah.
Which, it's not a lot, but $1,500.
Uh, And I mean, it's like if this was like legitimately something that it's like, okay, it's like, anybody could have done this and I'm like I wouldn't do it. But at the end of the day, she stopped in the middle of the fucking highway. She did not have to do that. And
That was pretty dumb. Yeah.
yeah, it's like, yeah, the car slowed down in front of her. No doubt. I'm not gonna deny it, even though I couldn't see it, but I believe it. However, the car did not come to a complete fucking stop. She did. And she caused a 7-car pileup.
Yeah. See, I don't think like I think all that happened was like when the wreck happened, I was like, yeah, I'm a little banged up. I'm gonna go to the ER. And then if eventually I talked to like the person who was at fault, like their insurance called me, and I talked to them, and we agreed on $1,500.
Yeah. So I left a message for the lawyer, and hopefully I hear back from tomorrow or the day after.
I'm gonna have to fucking start taking notes on Google Docs or something because my
Yeah, what
fucking
happened?
Word, ever since I've switched to this new computer, for some
Oh,
reason, it's not saving my Microsoft Word documents in my documents folder. I have no idea where the fuck it's saving it to. And my computer apparently likes to restart itself 3 or 4 times a week in the middle of the night. And so
uh,
when I reopen it, I can never find my notes. And
oh,
occasionally, through sheer dumb luck, I'll find a file with them in it. And then other days, like this past Thursday when I was uploading Smoky Mountain Show, I'm like, I can't find my fucking notes. So here's a preview of this week's show. Stuff happens. I think Tammy Fitch and talks about her new person. Chris Candido's involved somehow, and we have a new TV champion. So listen to the show, and see what I'm talking about.
it usually defaults to like your documents folder, the
Yeah,
one that's backs up automatically to OneDrive. Does it is it not doing that?
it's not.
Huh.
It's like I'll have like 4 different things that say podcast notes, and none of them are the most recent podcast notes.
I'm glad I have mine set up very meticulously to where it backs up to when I save something, it backs up to OneDrive and Google Drive.
And I'm gonna have to, like I said, I'm probably just gonna open up a Google Doc on top of my pay-per-view notes so I can just, you know, have it backed up there without an issue.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people just use Google Docs now. It's mostly like old people like us that are still using Word.
I know, but like, Word is so nice when it's working.
I know. Yeah. Well, the reason I still use it is because I get it for free through my little job thing.
I am much like how I still get Amazon Prime at a discounted price. I still have Microsoft Office for no price because 4 years ago I tried going back to college. And
Yeah.
Microsoft Word and Amazon apparently don't bother checking any updates on those things. So,
They checked mine, but that was more than 4 years ago. Well, it was about 3 years ago, I guess.
yeah, I attempted to go back to college 2.0. I failed so bad the first time, they refused to take my money anymore. The
Uh,
second time, it was like saying I was too old is pushing it, obviously, but it's like I just was not having the time to both go to school full time and work full time. And the funny thing is, during one of our intro to college classes, I forget what it was actually called, but it was basically intro to college. They said that you shouldn't work because you can't it's hard to split your time between work and school. And it's like, okay, you want to pay my fucking bills? I'll, quit my job and go to school full time. And surprisingly, they did not offer to pay all my bills for me.
Yeah, it's just not for everybody. And I say that as someone who's very overeducated and has nothing to show for it.
I got like 20 to 23 credits towards a degree that I'll never finish.
Eh, just sometimes you try
Yeah,
shit and it doesn't work out for you.
no, it's like, you know what? I'm happy with my life. Otherwise, like I get paid very well to do what I do without a college degree. So, whatever.
Sure. I was just finishing the Stardom show from I think Saturday.
Nice. How was it? Or is it?
It's pretty good. It's the overall match quality is not quite like All Japan Women 1993, but it's usually pretty good.
I mean, very few things are that level of match quality.
That is true, but it was one with the Toni Storm and Mina Shirakawa tag match.
Ah,
Just
uh,
I think was Tony's first match in Corkin in like I don't know 5 6 years.
who did they sports entertain against?
Mayu Iwatani and Azumi, who's Storm is wrestling Mayu Iwatani for the IWGP Women's title in a couple of weeks.
Nice. Do you think she's going to win the championship cummerbund?
Uh, I don't really expect it, but she could. Mayu's had that title for a hell of a long time.
Is that
Like,
going to be at the LOL show?
no, that is at the Stardom show in Nagoya in
Uh,
I don't remember. It's in the next week or two. They have not announced
Interesting.
anything for Lowell yet. They probably, I mean,
Oh,
they got to do something soon. But
well,
I
I mean, they
imagine
still have
that
King of Pro
card,
Wrestling and
yeah,
the Copperbox show to go.
yeah, they
That,
do release the entire King of Pro Wrestling card. That looks pretty damn good.
well, the show's in 2 weeks, so I'd hope they'd finally do it.
Yeah, they usually it was the day after the Destruction show. My wife, like, she has to turn in receipts for like expenses for work. And so she keeps saying we need to do the receipts. And I'm like, yeah, okay. And then we just haven't done receipts for months and months. And she just said again, we need to do the receipts tomorrow. And I said, sweetie, I will do the receipts whenever you say let's do the receipts. But they're your receipts. I can't be responsible for when we do them. I am not the reason the receipts haven't been done.
Maybe you just need a good accountant.
Uh, yeah. I mean, it's literally just they need to like scan the receipts to send to the accountant.
That pardon, but maybe that doesn't seem like something that requires two people to do.
It does when one of you is blind, it requires someone who can use a scanner.
Which I mean theoretically means that the one who isn't blind shouldn't be doing it.
Ah, I, you know,
So this temp agency keeps trying to reach out to me to work at MetLife. And as I've now told 7 different people, I already work at MetLife as an actual employee. I do not wish to become a temp here again. And that apparently has not discouraged them from continuing to reach out to me.
So I'll tell you what, I got my fiber internet installed like last week, which is really cool. I've been waiting for it a long time. So I had to call Xfinity.
Mhm.
And the guy was trying something because they have to do their retention thing. They have to. It's like part of their job. And I'm just
Mhm.
like, dude, they've already installed the fiber. The decision has been made.
The- I forget what I was trying to do one time. I think I was just trying to lower my bill, and they responded by giving me 3 free months of HBO and Netflix for free, along with a lower bill.
I mean, that's pretty
I'm
cool.
like, I didn't ask for A and B, but I'll take it.
It's funny because they offered to lower the bill to what I'm gonna be paying now, except that like, okay, why the fuck was I paying more for worse service?
Because you didn't have option two. And I mean, uh, this is the problem, in a lot of places because these cable companies enter into an exclusive agreement with cities and areas to where there cannot be a second cable company sold in the same place, which is why, you know, which is the main reason why prices are absurd. Now, I tend to think prices would still be absurd because 8 million gas stations don't mean gas is any lower. But,
Yeah.
still, it's insane that they're allowed to monopolize areas like that. Because wouldn't that go against federal monopolistic practices? I mean, if the NFL can't get away with it, why can Comcast?
Texas has like some specific laws. I don't know exactly what all they cover, but I know like the electricity, like they have to be. I don't know exactly what the wording of the law is, but they can't monopolize the electricity. You have to have a choice. And so we have this thing called, I think it's called like Energy Ogre, that they
Hmm.
manage it for us, and they seem to change it like about every year when the contract is up because they just find us a cheaper rate, which a cheaper rate right now, like ever since the hurricanes in July, like, fucked everything up and cost a lot of money. Of course, the companies aren't gonna just eat that; they're gonna pass it along to the consumer.
By the way, I know you're not a sports fan, but I'm really pissed at you as being a resident of Houston,
I didn't do it.
since I'm going to blame you anyway,
I
because
didn't even support it.
the Texans cheated and won against the Bills on Sunday.
How dare they?
I agree. I mean, I think the referee was in on it too, because at one point he announced that Bills quarterback Josh Allen did not fumble the basketball. I mean, technically he was right. Josh Allen did not fumble the basketball, but the basketball wasn't involved in the play at all.
Wait,
Yeah. All right.
basketball isn't even the right sport, is it? Why would you fumble a
No,
basketball in a football game?
no, it's not, you know.
I drove through Buffalo
I
yesterday, but it was Buffalo, Texas.
was gonna say I'm gonna drive through Buffalo in 2 weeks and Buffalo, New York.
That's probably the better Buffalo. Buffalo, Texas isn't that impressive.
I was gonna say I've never been to Buffalo, Texas, but I really enjoyed the last time I went to Buffalo, New York.
Yeah.
I was
You
I
probably
went to Hol Mhm.
you probably wouldn't go to Buffalo, Texas unless you had very specific circumstances. You got to get off the interstate to get to Buffalo.
That's like the town I grew up in, Girardville, Pennsylvania. You do not accidentally drive to Girardville, Pennsylvania. You are very specifically going there for very specific reasons. And to be honest, I don't know what those reasons would be
Yeah.
because as somebody who lived there, I couldn't tell you why you would go there.
Yeah, you don't accidentally drive to Crossett, Arkansas either.
So I went to Buffalo on Halloween weekend 2021 for my first game. They played the Dolphins. I saw Niagara Falls. It was nice. Then I was supposed to go November of 2022. I went to Full Gear, which was in New Jersey. And then I was going to, like, at 1 o'clock in the morning, get in my car and leave from New Jersey to Buffalo for the game the next day at 1. Unfortunately, those pampered millionaire football players couldn't play in 6 feet of snow, so the game got moved to Detroit, and I, did not go to the game. Instead, I got a refund. And so everyone was
Well,
like,
if you,
"Oh, at least." I was like, at least they refunded you the money. I'm like, well, that's not the point. I really wanted to see the game.
yeah, well, if you were a real fan, you would have sucked it up and driven to Detroit.
I actually looked it up to see what the distance was between New Jersey and Detroit. And I would, even if I would have left right after Full Gear, like left the parking lot and drove right there, I wouldn't have gotten there in time.
Oh, bummer.
Yeah. And that was the Full Gear where MJF beat Moxley when Mr. Regal turned heel for 5 minutes.
Oh, still
I
sad
guess it was
about
long.
that.
I guess it was longer than 5 minutes, but he then you know, immediately left AEW. So
Yeah, barely even counts.
yeah. Um, yeah. All right. I'm thinking of going to Full Gear this year. It's in the same place in New Jersey. I mean, I hit Forbidden Door, so why the hell not? But I don't know.
Unless
It's I don't
something unexpected happens, this is going to be the first year since 2012 that I went to zero wrestling shows.
damn. I I mean, did you go to any in 2020?
I did. I went to the NXT versus NXT UK Worlds Collide and the Royal Rumble in January, right before the world fell apart.
Nice. The day Kobe Bryant died, which I only remember because they made mention of it on the Royal Rumble show itself. But
Yeah.
I'm also thinking of going to the Rumble in Indianapolis this year, but again, I don't feel like going someplace and getting murdered for existing. And Indiana isn't the most trans-friendly state in the union. I mean, it's more
Uh,
trans-friendly than your state, but
I just can't believe that the state that elected Mike Pence as governor is transphobic.
I'm as shocked as you are. Hey, 2 people have pre-ordered my book.
Outstanding.
I know that means nothing in the grand scheme of things, but hey,
Hey.
I somebody fucking did, and that's pretty fucking cool.
So what's the when you do a self-published Kindle book like that, what is like does Amazon get a cut? How does that work?
Yeah, pretty much for that $5 I spent, or $5 that someone's going to pay for it, I'm going to get like $3.50. And I did look into, oh my God, I, I get that somebody has to pay for the publishing, for the printing, excuse me. But I looked up to see the logistics of having a physical book. And if I charge $20 for a paperback book, I would and if I only sold it through Amazon, I'd get $6. And if I sold it outside of Amazon as well, I'd get $2 on a book that I would charge
Ah,
$20 for. So,
that's
needless to
that's not
say, there's probably not going to be a physical version of the book.
physical books are overrated. I just did the oh my God cast like an hour and a half ago. Just the come down and whatnot.
You told me the Bills were beating the Seahawks so bad I could have started an hour and a half ago.
Oh, oh well.
Oh
It's
well,
so funny
next time.
because it like I don't know, some of my Twitter people are like tweeting about football and I never know what's going on. I just get very visceral yays or boos.
I think that's all just from my page. Hey,
Uh, I don't know.
my team has a freaking 4-game lead so on the division, so I'm happy.
Right on.
Yes. I did a lot to win that for the team, because every fan, no matter what they do, helps out their team even a little bit. That's how it works.
Absolutely.
Ah, Lord. Fucking election results are pouring in, and I know that these are basically all the states that were supposed to go red, but it's still frustrating to watch.
Oh, as a native Arkansan living in Texas, it is very frustrating. Frustrating every time
Oh,
around.
oh my God, I hope you're sitting down. Kamala won Massachusetts. I'm so
Oh
shocked.
wow.
I'm getting ready for my trip to PA. Well, full gear and then PA. By the way, did I tell you about my seat for full gear?
You mentioned it that you got a hookup.
Yeah. A friend of mine, I'm not even going to ask her why or how she has so many extra tickets that can just give them out away to people. But I have a ticket directly across from the hard camera, section 8, row 3.
That's pretty sweet.
Yes. And I'm going to be sleeping on her couch at her Airbnb that weekend. So I don't even have, like, literally, here's all I have to pay for gas to get to her.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. Mhm.
so how long is it to like if you were just going to Pennsylvania, how long would it be?
If I was going to see my brother who's in the middle of Pennsylvania, it's 7 hours.
Okay, that's roughly what it is for me to where my family is in Arkansas.
Newark, New Jersey, where Full Gear is, I think it's about 4 hours depending on traffic. Let me uh check Google Maps here. Uh yeah, it's about 4 hours.
Did
And I
a
mean,
road trip one time from West Point in upstate New York to Shepherdstown, West Virginia. So we went from like New York through New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Maryland, West Virginia, 5 states in the time that it takes me to get out of Texas when I'm going to Arkansas.
that is a lot of ground to cover. Anything fun going on your end of the world today?
No, hoping my food would show up before time, and then it did not. There was like I don't think I've ever seen this. There was like we can't find any drivers. And I was like about to go get it, and then I guess they found a driver and whatever.
Interesting. So, in other words, we're going to be interrupted during the shows. You can go get your dinner. All right.
No,
Um,
I told my wife to come in quietly and bring it to me.
Woman, bring me my food.
I said it way more. I said it way more politely than that.
Oh, I figured being in Texas, you have like a giant ass cowboy hat on and, a big ass belt buckle.
Well, you said
Even
yourself,
though,
I don't meet the stereotypes.
I was gonna say, even though I've seen multiple pictures of you and I don't believe you've ever worn a cowboy hat or have a big ass belt buckle.
Nah, I'm too fat for big belt buckles.
Hi there, hello.
Eh,
How are you?
oh, I'm still here.
That's always a positive.
Is it? I guess it is, if that's the kind of thing you're into.
Yes, I'm kind of into you continuing to be alive. So,
Well, that makes one of us.
and remember, we still have 117 episodes of Smoky Mountain to go, so you have to stick around that long at least.
Maybe by the time we're done with that, it'll finally give me that last push I need.
Nah, because then we got to do Lucha Underground, and then we got to do like Wrestlicious, and then we got to do TNA Impact, and then we got to do Florida, and then we got to go hunting for the original Georgia footage from like 1972. So
You're just trying to
uh,
trick me into living another 40 years.
I would never do such a thing.
Sneaky, sneaky.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh, it's just I had bought these pizza rolls that are like they have Hellfire Club on the package and they were spicy pepperoni. And I'm like, well, how fucking spicy are pizza rolls gonna be? And the answer is spicier than you'd imagine. So
So note to self, don't
I
buy the Hellfire pizza rolls.
a little much. A
I,
little much.
honestly, I would figure just the name by itself would give you a tip that, hey, this is some spicy shit.
Yeah, I mean I like spicy stuff. It's just I don't know. That level of spice compared with the fact that they're fucking pizza rolls means that my stomach is like, what the fuck did you just do to me?
I forget where, but I just had a bowl of chili at a restaurant somewhere that was a lot spicier than I expected it to be. And
Oh,
I enjoy a good bowl of chili, especially if it's got a little bit of spice to it, but I was not expecting it to be that level of spice.
I had something so good this morning.
Pop-Tarts?
So no, we had to go to Austin yesterday because my wife had like a work thing that was in the evening, and it was like they gave us a room to stay in, but it was like I was like, well, if I feel like it, I'll just drive home. And then I just kind of didn't, so we spent the night, and then we got up this morning. I'm like, well, I'm here. I want a nice breakfast, so we went to I think it's a chain, another Broken Egg Cafe, which we had
Okay.
been to before, but they had some new stuff, and I had brunch jambalaya, and it was amazing.
What on earth is brunch jambalaya?
It's like a really good crawfish and andouille jambalaya with two sunny side up eggs on top of it, and it worked. It was really good.
I was gonna say that does not sound terribly appealing, but hey,
Oh, well, I love jambalaya and I like eggs, and it was a good combination.
interesting. All right, you know, on the list of things I may have to try in between not being murdered if I ever go to Texas, that might be have to be on the list.
That may I don't. It is a chain. There at least like multiple here. I don't know if it's a national chain.
What's the name of it?
I'm looking another Broken Egg Cafe locations.
You know, I put cafe and not cage. Uh,
Uh,
so not near. Google doesn't even give me a near you
okay.
thing. Uh,
So it looks like a bunch of Texas locations, and then Wichita, Kansas, and Bossier City and Shreveport, Louisiana.
so yeah, not exactly next door to me. Elk Ridge, Maryland is my closest one,
Well,
which
if you find yourself in Elk Ridge, Maryland, I highly recommend it.
let's see how far is Elk Ridge from allegedly, and I guess it depends on when I leave my house, but allegedly 6.5 hours away. Keep in mind my
That's
bro
not that bad.
yeah, keep in mind my brother is 7 hours away, but he's dead center Pennsylvania, and this is down by Baltimore. Guess it's good to know that Baltimore is 6.5 hours away from me. I don't
That
know
is
why
good to
that's
know.
I don't know why that's good to know, but it's could be worse, I guess. Uh,
Never been to Baltimore. I've only been to like the weird redneck part of Maryland.
I on the way back from WrestleMania in Atlanta, we stayed at a hotel in Maryland. It may have been Baltimore, but I mean, at best, that's the most I've been to Baltimore. So,
Yeah. My wife has been to Baltimore many times. The NFB national office is in Baltimore.
nice. And you've never followed her up?
No, I'm not important enough to go to national. I'm getting old. I need a nap during the day if I'm going to do anything late at night.
I,
Mm.
I Definitely with you there. I did not take an afternoon nap today. Perhaps we should have.
Well, Tag League final start at 12, and I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if I can. I might try, but I might. I don't know.
What do you think they're going to do with the tag titles?
I think they said they were vacating them.
Yeah, I know, but
Uh,
like, I mean, they're not going to do. You don't think they would do like a surprise announcement? The winner of World Tag League is getting the belts.
I thought of that, and honestly, I would probably just do that, but that's not typically what they do.
Yeah.
But they could do that. I think probably. I assume that Hiromu and Naito are winning the tag league,
Yep.
and so Naito and Hiromu against the Young Bucks for the vacant tag belt sounds pretty good to me.
That's actually what I was about to say. So,
Mm.
congrats on reading my mind.
Uh,
How's how's Naito holding up these days? I know, like, obviously being in a tag team, it's a little bit better, but
Doing better since he's working in tag matches. The title reign was a little rough this year.
oh yeah.
Uh,
Like, I was at Forbidden Door when Moxley lost the belt to him, and that was a hard match to watch.
yeah, the match I had in Chicago was better, and that's just I don't know. The match in at Forbidden Door just didn't quite work as well. I don't know. I felt like he had a really great match with Sonata at the Tokyo Dome, and then they had a match a month later that was like way lesser. And then
Oh,
I don't know, the match with Suji was like okay, and it's just I don't. He had an okay G1. It's just like I don't know. He had a great match with Zack, but like Naito and Zack is like a cheat code because you don't have to destroy yourself to have a great match with Zack because he just the way he works, he can work
hmm.
around whatever limitations you have. And Naito and Zack just have like this magic chemistry, so that match worked really well. But
I,
I
I
think go ahead.
I think it was just that they were in that he was in the Tokyo Dome with Sonata, and it was like, that's if you're gonna put forth your best effort and ignore the pain that you're in, that's the day to do it.
Yeah, that's right.
Unless you're booked in a random six-man tag late in the show, I mean that's when you really put forth no effort. But
I mean, when you're in the main event, you got to kind
yeah.
of. He can still turn it on when it really matters. I
Hmm.
think he's just understandably he can't turn it on as often, so he's got more selective about what really matters.
Hmm. And as much as I loved the Okada reigns and the Tana reigns and all that, it's sad that Naito never got like a really good, strong IWGP title reign. Because like by the time he won it in 2020, A, he was already in a shit ton of pain, and B, we were about to be shut down for 4 months. And he came back in time to lose it to fucking Evil.
Yeah, and then
I,
he won
I,
it back, and
I still can't
uh,
fucking believe Evil won the IWGP title.
and I said at the time because I discussed this quite a bit when it was going on. I did not have a problem with them trying something with Evil. The problem became when they just kept doing the same thing for now 4.5 fucking years.
I think it's one thing to try something, but it's like they barely tried. Like they almost immediately gave up. Like I know Evil had like one title defense, but it was like the next major title defense was losing the belt to Naito.
Yeah, you're right.
And then it's like Evil was the whenever Vince would put somebody new over as WWE champion or whatever that he didn't believe in, as soon as they lost the belt, they went back to the mid card or whatever. That's what happened with Evil. As soon as he lost the fucking belt, like it's not like, oh, Evil's now going to be in the semi-main of the Tokyo Dome or third from the top. No, he's like in the first few matches if he's lucky, and if not, he's in the Rambo. You know, Honestly, and this might be a terrible comparison, he's fucking Jack Swagger. Swagger was a bottom of the card guy. He won the world title. He lost the world title and was back to being an opening card guy. And I know I don't watch New Japan as much as I, used to, but I mean, I haven't seen a whole lot of evil at the top of the cards, except occasionally, just because he is a former IWGP champion, they get to bring that out once in a while. We're like, oh, Evil's going to get a title shot on the next show because he was a former champion, so we get to at least play that card. But other than that, it's really nothing.
I mean, he gets a title shot pretty much, I don't know, every year or other year. And the way that they book, they kind of like somebody will be in a singles program, so they'll be focused on, and then they won't be, so they'll just be in the undercard deck. Evil gets used in like insignificant programs fairly often. I don't know. The House of Torture has ruined every happy moment of my life for the past 4 years, so I'm not going to defend the booking, but I don't know. I mean,
Except,
he's one of their guys. He's got and the thing is, the fact that he had the title for a minute does give him that credibility of he's a former champion, so they can put him, they can bring him out for a title shot. And he's had like the feuds with the Never title, and he's got like this feud with Tanahashi, I gather, is actually like quite popular with with the Japanese fans anyway. So it's whatever. He's one of their guys. I like all of those guys individually. And it's just what they do to me. It's like they're having bad matches on purpose, and it's just like I
Mhm.
don't want to watch this. Like,
Reading Dave talk about House of Torture and listening to you talk about House of Torture makes me so happy that the only New Japan I watch every year is the Tokyo Dome.
yeah, it's been my least favorite thing for like I said, 4.5 years. Which
Mhm.
technically it wasn't House of Torture until like a year after the Evil title win, but I date it back to Evil joining Bullet Club.
Yeah. Hello.
Hey, you know the fires put out?
Ah, you fucking know it. That, holy fuck.
Was it an important power strip?
Ish. I mean, it was holding my laptop and my space heater,
Well,
and it, I can tell you that my space heater is no longer plugged in, and my laptop is elsewhere. So part of the fucking problem is I love this apartment, but I need to get the fuck out of it because like there are no fucking outlets. I mean, there are, but there really aren't. So it's like I have to live on fucking power strips. And
yeah.
well, apparently that can be a bad thing.
Yeah, I remember living in a place that had like one outlet per room.
Let's see. There's two in uh the four main rooms and one in the bathroom.
Wow. Well, seems like
Yep.
not enough, right?
Yep. And this is also the same apartment that I cannot have a microwave because the wattage of even like the lowest watt microwave is still too much. It'll blow all the circuits in my apartment.
Oh, geez.
Yes,
Sounds like not the best place to be.
but it is a cheap place to be.
Well, there's that to consider too.
Yep. Yeah. All right. So we'll see if this takes my mind off of fire. At least unless they decide to do um a ring surrounded by fire match.
Maybe they'll show that clip of Matsunaga and Mr. Pogo again.
Hopefully not. Hopefully not. At least hopefully it's not a deleted scene on this episode that I didn't see the first time. I really fucking wish that we had at least a moderate degree of popularity because I would fucking love to be able to do this more, you know what I mean? Like, but I like seriously, like there's so much good shit out there we could be watching and reviewing along with this that it's like, you know, it's insane.
Yeah.
Like we could be sitting here, we could be like, okay, it might be a little difficult, especially with some of these shows, but it's like we could be doing Memphis from the same weekend in 1983. We'd be doing, you know, I don't know, it's hard to find those tapes. I would say Georgia Championship Wrestling, but it's hard to find those shows. Um, I think it's insane, by the way, that it's fucking impossible to find the WWF on TBS run. Like you get the first episode, there's a handful of others sprinkled around out there, but by and large, it's like I don't want to say it might as well not have happened, but it might as well not have happened.
There's so much stuff in those archives. It's just going to waste.
And I mean, part of the problem is that, yeah, for wrestling nerds like you and I and a few others, it's like, yeah, they put up, 1,500 hours of archive programming, and we sat here and watched as much as humanly possible. But there was a very small number of people watching the archive stuff. And it's like, well, if no one's watching it, why do it? But it's a, self-fulfilling prophecy here. If no one, if no one watches it, we're not going to put anything up. But if we don't put anything up, no one's going to watch it.
I'm just
And
glad I
it,
torrented copies of everything.
yep, like it annoyed me because, like, when Brian and Vinny and them were going through the WCW World Championship Wrestlings from '85, like I, that was when I jumped on and watched all those, and I was mad that it ended in July of '89 and they never uploaded any more after that. And like the next one, they jumped to when it becomes WCW Saturday Night officially in April of '92 or whatever it is. You know, it's not like
Yeah.
those are the greatest shows ever, but I mean, they have like a 5-year run of superstars, including 1995 and 1996, which, let's be honest, you know, that period mostly sucked.
I don't know.
I'm not.
Had a little bit of an adventure today. Wasn't a big thing. I drove for a friend. It's a blind guy. He goes. He's like he contracts with different kind of like government organizations that provide technology to blind and like deaf people. And
Okay.
he's a blind guy. He needs a driver, and it's fucking really easy money. I
Hmm.
drive him where he needs to go, and I sit in my car and watch wrestling on my iPad.
Nice.
It was saw something you rarely see today. I actually saw a car accident happen. Like you always see the aftermath. You very rarely see one
Yep.
happen. I was just cruising along the interstate, heading like northeast out of Houston, and a fucking car that was like a little ways ahead of me. I think in the same lane I was in, like 2 lanes over, just like veers across 2 lanes of traffic. And it's like the way they're pointed, they're about to hit the wall head on, and I think they tried to correct at the last second and just like slid down the fucking wall, but it was gnarly and scary.
Any idea if they're okay?
Well, they managed to stop and turn their flashers on, and somebody else was stopping to check on them, so I just kept going.
Okay. Well, hopefully, fingers crossed, tap on wood, they're all good.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, did they fucking fall asleep and lose control or something? I don't know. That was fucking weird.
Possibly. Like, was it this morning or when when
Yeah, it
during the
was
day was
about
it?
probably about 9 o'clock in the morning.
Hmm. See, I'd like to think it's they didn't just fall asleep, but I mean, I guess you never know.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe somebody was being kidnapped and grabbed the wheel.
That
Why do I got to think?
that I guess
Why do I got to think of the worst possible thing?
I mean, I hope that's not the case, you know. But if it is, I hope they got away.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Eh, Righty. So, did you see the Lucha Gauntlet set for Wrestle Dynasty?
Yeah, that'd probably be cool.
Yes.
The
But I mean, it
everybody.
looks like it's 1 minute entrances, but the first pin wins.
Yeah,
Or is it
okay,
first
that
pin
makes sense.
once everybody's in?
I hold on. I didn't look into it. Let me look. That'll
Hmm.
be good because people were like, "Well, where's all the CMLL representation on this card?" Because all they had was, like the one in the women's match. So at least we've
Uh,
got this is it's gonna be four New Japan guys and four CMLL guys, right?
Yeah. So it's basically gonna like without it though, the rest of the show feels very New Japan and versus AEW.
Yeah, yeah, well,
What is that?
we have AEW versus Stardom match. Here, let
Mhm.
me look here. Actually, because somebody on Twitter was like, "What do you think of the card?" And I'm like, I think it's a good people we're going to complain about because people have wildly unrealistic expectations every time there's a promotional show.
I mean, I'll be honest, the first Forbidden Door, I had the same wildly unrealistic expectations.
And I knew better, and I love that show, and it's like my favorite show every year.
I, I'm not saying it was a bad show at all, just that, I don't know. When they first announced it, I thought it was going to be more AEW versus New Japan, kind of like how a lot of Wrestle Dynasty is shaping up to be. But instead, it was, hey, one major show with everybody mixed and meshed together.
Yeah. Let's see. We got New Japan versus AEW, New Japan versus AEW, New Japan versus either New Japan or AEW that I'm sure will be AEW, AEW versus Stardom, New Japan versus AEW, New Japan versus AEW, New Japan versus AEW, New Japan versus AEW, AEW versus ROH versus CMLL versus Stardom, and the Lucha Gauntlet match. So I'm sure Teton will be in there because he's like one of their guys. Uh, hopefully Hechicero because Hechicero's cool as shit.
It's kind of wacky that they're, and I get it, but like they're considering ROH like an entirely separate promotion. Like, 'cause it certainly just feels like it's an excuse just to have a second AEW woman in the four-way. Because I mean, unless there's other stuff that's still to be announced, and that's possible, that's the only ROH representation on the show, right?
Um, yes,
I mean, it, here's what I'll say, and I know your argument in reverse, but if Jericho's on the show, even if he's still the champion, I'm assuming that he will beat Matt Cardona Friday. But like, even if he is on the show, and he's the ROH champion, I don't consider him ROH. I don't think most
and
people
I
do.
and I don't think they would either. But it's
Yeah.
like the only time that they've had somebody representing ROH was like Blake Christian and Best of the Super Junior, who I don't think he's even signed, but he's in ROH sometimes. But at least
Mhm.
like in the women's four-way match, it is Athena who
Yeah.
is the women's world champion and who actually like has the okay. I think she wrestled on like one Battle of the Belts, but other than that, like she's been exclusive to Ring of Honor her whole title reign pretty much.
Oh yeah. I mean during the title reign definitely, but I mean when she got signed, I'm pretty sure she was, on Dynamite or whatever was around at the time. at least a couple times.
So it's Willow Nightingale, who I
Hmm
just knew it was going to be her
But
because she's actually like
I
been
mean,
there
just
before and they like her.
pl- plus looking at the tournament, I mean, no offense to the other three people in it, but like it was very obviously her. It's
Yeah, I
like
mean like
the first
yeah,
Dusty Classic when it was Samoa Joe and Finn Balor was one team, and then the other three were the Revival before they got a push, Baron Corbin and Rhino, and I forget the fourth team, but it was painfully obvious the only way Samoa Joe and Finn Balor weren't winning was if they were turning on each other.
and didn't they beat like Baron Corbin and Rhino?
Yeah, they were the finalists, and I forget who the fourth team was. It may have been American Alpha, but they may not have been a thing yet.
Yeah, I have not watched that in a lot of years. So it's Willow, Athena, Persephone, MLL, and then Stardom. They're gonna do like I don't know some four-way matches. I don't remember. It's cool that they added. I don't know. You kind of figured like Mercedes had to be on there, so it's cool that they're doing her and
Mhm.
Mina Shirakawa. I think ended up with two
Yeah.
women's matches on that show, so good for them.
So we mentioned, by the way, it was American Alpha, but you mentioned that Athena's the ROH Women's Champion. I think there's a pretty good chance she loses the belt at Final Battle.
Oh yeah, I would certainly think so. It's time.
Although to be fair, she's had at least three other matches that I'm like, okay, she's gonna lose the belt here. And no. I did think about trying to go down for one of those shows this weekend, but it's like it it's not feasible, you know.
Uh, yeah.
Trying to get a hotel especially and yeah. Uh, Oh
Those
well.
Stardom is doing four-way matches, and then the winners of those four ways goes into another four-way. And looking at the list of people, I'm gonna guess it'll be Shuri.
Okay.
She's like
If
she's the biggest star. Well, Momo Watanabe, Kaguma. I think Shuri is the biggest star, but I don't know. That's going to be my prediction.
yeah. I don't I literally don't ever watch Stardom, so I don't know anything about it.
I try to.
I
I wish I had. I don't know. It's like it's the first to kind of fall by the wayside when I get too busy, and that's my flaw.
I tried to watch the first historic crossover show. Um, I remember the Gauntlet. I watched the Gauntlet, and then I watched like whatever the next match was, and I was like, I really don't like this, and I turned it off.
So what is there something about like the Stardom style that just doesn't work for you?
I don't know, just there was something about that. Maybe it was just that match, but like I just thought it was. I couldn't even tell you what the match was, and maybe if I went back and rewatched it now, I might enjoy it. But at the time, I'm like, this isn't for me, and I just like, went, okay, everyone's got their thing. This isn't mine, and just moved on with my life.
Well, that's fine. It's totally fine if something isn't for you. I like it's weird. I never can like dedicate enough time to it to really like I still don't recognize a lot of people. Like if there's
Hmm
like a six-woman tag match, I really struggle unless it's like there's a few people whose faces I recognize, and there's like some people that I recognize by their gear, and I recognize Suzuki because she's the cutest.
So let's hear. Looking at the matches, well, the first match was Chaos versus House of Torture, and I mean, I'm pretty sure that wasn't
Well, that
it.
was a
So,
I bet that was a classic.
oh, I bet it was. So it looks like, and I don't remember anything about this match, but it looks like the match that made me go, I don't care for this, was AZM, Lady C, and Saya Kamatani. Forgive me if I
Kamatani,
mispronounced any of these. Versus Himika, Mai Sakurai, and Sekla.
Tekla, yeah. She's
Yeah, I
Finnish? Or maybe no,
kind
not
of
Finnish. Austrian maybe?
Yeah. Something
By the
about that
way,
match I just did not care for.
and there's absolutely no reason that you would know this, but the AZM is Azumi.
Okay.
Yeah. She she is the one that's wrestling Mayu Iwatani for the IWGP Women's Title at Wrestle Kingdom.
Nice. Remember there was
She
somebody in the gauntlet that I loved, and I don't know, I'm trying to go down the list to see if anybody just by their aesthetic makes me think it would be them, but not finding them yet. Go ahead.
what was this? Oh, Azumi had like she wrestled Toni Storm on like a Rampage or something, and they had a great match. And then she also wrestled Stephanie Vaquer on one of the New Japan USA shows, and they had an excellent match.
So, speaking of Toni Storm and Rampage, um, what are your
What?
thoughts on that whole controversy? It isn't really a
It's
controversy,
so
but you know,
it's so fucking stupid that it's a controversy. God, people will just bitch about anything. Ah. Here's the thing.
I,
If you're bitching about what card a show is on, you're a fucking idiot. If you're bitching about match order, you're a fucking idiot. That shit does not matter.
I think match order can matter, like especially if it's a show where you have, um, it's a long ass show. You have like three or four main events, and there in the middle of those three or four main events is like one random lower card match that it's like, okay, we really just give us the actual main event now, kind of thing. But I mean, I look at I look at match order being important when it comes to being burned out watching a show, but that's about it.
Yeah, but it's like people act like it's like matches are numbered in order of importance, like they are on like a New Japan card. And it's like it's been decades since any American promotions like put any effort into that. They are the matches are ordered in a way that they think is going to make the show flow the best. Now that's whether or not they get it right is a whole other problem.
I will say that, you know, outside of the fact that, WWE's been, for years now, going back at least a decade, they've been putting a main event as the opener or something that can is arguably a main event as the opener. Outside of that, especially lately, they seem like match two on, it seems like a very natural progression. But um AEW, like I didn't have this problem, I don't think, at Full Gear, but Forbidden Door, by the time we got to like 10, 10, 15, like okay, I'm ready for the main event now, and there was still like three matches to go. Like, okay, this is a long ass card. But that's a debate for another day. I know you're not a fan of the fake sports, but the Cleveland Browns wearing all white is just weird. Mind you, they usually wear orange, which, considering they're the Browns, makes no sense, but at least, tradition and all that.
Why are they the Browns but they wear orange? There's got to be a
I
very very silly reason for this.
I think because the guy who founded the team's last name was Brown.
So when I lived in College Station, so that's where Texas A&M is,
Yeah.
and then the University of Texas is like the mortal enemy,
Mm-hmm.
and orange is UT color. So any business that comes into the city of College Station that has like orange as a part of their color scheme
They're going out of
within the College
business.
Station city limits, they have to change it to maroon.
Or else they're not going to last very long.
I think I heard at the time that it was some kind of like some kind of requirement that the city put into the deal of like any business that came in. So it's like
Yeah.
Whataburger, like Whataburger is orange, but it had to have a maroon stripe like through the orange, and the
You know,
inside like the things that would have been orange were maroon instead.
I think we've discussed this, but I'd never even heard of Whataburger until Steve Austin cut that promo in like 2002.
Me too, because they were. I don't know if they were only in Texas. They were a lot more only in Texas then than they are now.
Hmm. Well, they still haven't
You
made it up
can't.
north yet.
Yeah, they are spreading more throughout the South. Here's the thing: it's never as good anywhere else as it is in Texas.
I will have to take your word for that. Uh,
That's
by
why,
the
like,
Go ahead.
I've had In and Out a couple of times, and I'm so not impressed. But the part of me is like, okay, I've never had it on the West Coast,
Hmm.
so just maybe, like, I'm willing to withhold final judgment on In and Out until I've had it in California.
So in Texas, what is chicken and waffles? Like, what is the makeup of chicken and waffles? If I were to go down there and
I
ask,
saw you,
yeah,
yeah, I saw you post a thing about chicken and waffles. Okay,
yeah.
so chicken and waffles is a waffle
Hmm.
and chicken strips.
Is there anything on top of that?
That's syrup.
Okay. So that's closer to Massachusetts chicken and waffles, where it's like a piece of fried chicken, not so much a chicken strip with some syrup. Pennsylvania, and I don't know what the hell the big deal about this because this is pretty damn good. It's shredded chicken with gravy over a waffle. Like I don't I'm not getting the reactions by people, especially those in Massachusetts, the people I know up here who are like, "How could you eat such garbage?" Like, what? It's chicken with some gravy on it.
I mean,
What is so bad about that?
now, I don't know if it would be to my taste, but just looking at that, I like to me as a Southerner, that looks like biscuits and gravy just with waffles instead of biscuits.
And with some chicken in there.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, I I don't know. Like I think some of my friends are a bit cray cray.
yeah. I don't have really for I have had chicken and waffles a couple of times. It's one of the options at the movie theater, like the studio grill. So sometimes it's like
I I like that
it's a nice sweet waffle and some chicken strips.
I like that that's an option at the movie theater down there.
Yeah, yeah, it is. Yeah.
All right, I thought it was weird when they started selling booze at movie theaters. All right.
Oh man, ours has on like Saturday and Sunday they have brunch and they have $5 mimosas and Bloody Marys.
At the movie theater.
At the movie theater, my wife and I did this when we saw Beetlejuice.
Interesting. Interesting.
Do you
Uh,
think if like an alien species, like if they found out that humans like our orgasm parts are the same as our pee parts, you think they'd be like, that's disgusting?
Possibly, although do we know what parts of an alien both pee and orgasm out of?
See, we don't. That's the thing. Maybe I don't
It,
know. Maybe it's
or
like
if they have multiple parts that do that, maybe they'd see it and go, "Hey, that's convenient."
I'm just saying, evolutionarily speaking, there has to be a reason for that, and I'm just curious about it.
Um, I don't know. I'll be honest, that has never really crossed my mind. Although you try not to think about it. I mean, I've always been under the assumption that you're straight, or really straight leaning. So I tend to not think about this during oral sex. I guess to some degree
Yeah,
it might also affect you, you know.
yeah, you're right. It's just weird when you think about it, though.
Indeed. Indeed it is. We're
It's just
using
like
our, we're using our A material here for the pre-show.
there just has to be some kind of evolutionary logic to it.
Probably. Probably. No doubt. you know. Um, I don't know. It's just one of these things that we all just kind of accept because otherwise, where would pee come out of? Because
Yeah,
if it feels like any other part would be inconvenient.
I just can't decide if it's really like if it's really good design or really terrible design.
Hmm. I'd say it doesn't have to be either. It's more just it was the best choice. You know, I figure that the alien who created our bodies uh, tried to figure out where to put the pee hole, and we're like, well, this this looks like it makes sense, and it's the most convenient part. And
Like, is it just a cable management issue?
quite possibly, I mean, they may have had to drill another hole in our body in order to put it somewhere else. I'm afraid to ask, how long have you spent thinking about this?
I started thinking about it about 30 seconds before the call started.
Okay. So it's not something that kept you up last night while watching the New Japan
Oh,
show.
no. No, it's a new interest.
A new interest, you say?
I mean, just it was I don't know. It's
So,
occupying my thoughts for the moment.
so not only did you you know, not only were you using this on the pre-show, you waited till the last episode of the year to have a to come up with this new interest.